What is up, y'all? You are checking out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Ant, and I am joined by my new host and friend, Mike. Introduce yourself to everybody listening out there.
Hey guys, it's me, Mike Loving. How you doing? I'm a pro wrestling fan from West Virginia. Been a pro wrestling fan since the age of 9 or 10 years old. Look forward to doing this podcast and rolling.
Yes, and the cool thing about this is our Attitude Era podcast. So Mike is going to be having a complete cool sort of vibe bringing to the show since he was 14 during the Attitude Era. So he's going to have a whole cool, he was 14 in 1997 during this time. So he's going to add a whole little cool element to discussing this time period. So for those of you listening, yes, we are in our Attitude Era recap videos, and we are on Raw Is War from December 29th, 1997. And we are live in Long Island, New York, which isn't too far away from me in Connecticut, where I'm at right now. And the show starts off with the artist formerly known as Goldust and Luna Vachon coming out. And Goldust is dressed up as Baby New Year. He's in a diaper. And during this time, Goldust is reinventing his character, and he was this bizarre artist formerly known as character. We saw last week he dressed up as a Christmas tree. This time he's dressing up as Baby New Year, and he says that Goldust claims he will be inside the Royal Rumble match, and he will make Stone Cold Steve Austin be his big Ken doll while Goldust is Barbie. That's when Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down to the ring and he trash talks Goldust and Luna. And Stone Cold says he has a gift for that piece of crap that is Goldust. And he calls down to the heavens, and a porta potty comes down to the ring. And Goldust tries to attack Austin, but Austin takes him out, nails a stunner, and tosses him into the porta potty. And tosses the porta potty down to the side. So, Mike, when you saw this live, what did you think of the segment? And looking back, did you think it was a good segment to open up Raw?
I think it was a great segment. Anytime you can open up with Stone Cold Steve Austin as a segment, it was one of the best openers ever. And and this is the kind of openers you miss. I mean, putting someone in a porta potty after doing your finishing move. Yeah, man, it's good, great stuff.
The funniest thing for me that I love about it is just how strange Goldust was. What did you think of the Goldust character at this time when you watched it during this time? Were you into it? Did you think it was weird? Because I remember seeing it and being like, this is very odd.
I thought they were doing, like I said, the Christmas tree the prior week, and then the Baby New Year that week, and they just couldn't find a character for Goldust right there for Dustin Rhodes, and they didn't know what to do with him, so they stuck him with all those many characters that he portrayed.
Yeah, it's very weird, and I do love Luna Vachon, so it's great seeing her. But yeah, it's also great to see Stone Cold. I feel like this is just a way to kind of put Austin on the show, but always fun. A lot of fans think back to this moment on Raw Is War when they think of the Attitude Era, because it definitely was worth talking about the next day. Well, next we have our first match. It's a Long Island brawl. The Los Boricuas are taking on the Disciples of Apocalypse. And this is a pretty much like brawl. The match was pretty quick. Savio accidentally kicked Los Boricua member, and Chains made the pinfall. What did you think of these two teams, and what did you think of this match?
That match was wild and crazy. Anytime you get four, they were having a heavy feed at that time as well. And Savio Vega, to this day is still wrestling. And so I mean, to see him wrestling then and then to see him wrestling now, he's improved by a whole bunch. And Brian Lee, I used to watch him. He was one of the disciple of Apocalypse. Yeah. And I used to watch him wrestle on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I think it was either let's see who was it? Was 8 Ball that was One of them actually ended up being the, which we'll probably talk about in a later show. He was actually one of the fake Undertakers. One of them, I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was Brian Lee.
Brian Lee, yes sir, yes sir. Yep. And but this match was crazy. This match was awesome. Anytime you got a heavy feud between Disciple of Apocalypse and Lost Barricos, it was. I mean, I think that they ended up actually continue that match or that feud into the Royal Rumble. Actually, but we'll probably cover that here in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Now, were you more of a Los Barriquas guy or more of a Disciples of Apocalypse?
I like Disciples of Apocalypse. Yeah. Disciple of Apocalypse was really cool. They came out with their motorcycles and everything, and got people excited.
Yeah, they were.
But yeah, cool. I was definitely more of a Disciple of Apocalypse.
All right. Yeah, DOA was. I remember being little and seeing them and being like, "Oh shit, they're really cool." All right. So up next we have Triple H in China. They're in the ring, and Triple H is on crutches, and he claims that he dislocated his kneecap. He tells Owen Hart that he has to wait for him. He has to wait for Triple H to stomp Owen's guts in. Triple H says that Shawn Michaels is at home with a 102-degree fever. And then the Undertaker music comes out, and a casket is brought out to the ring. Shawn Michaels comes out of the casket dancing, and there's DX graffiti written on the casket. Shawn Michaels introduces us to the two newest members of DX, and he looks at Chyna's boobs. He says that she's the breast damn woman in town. Double DX, he says. Shawn says Owen Hart is lucky that Triple H got hurt at the Royal Rumble. Undertaker, Shawn Michaels is going to give you the third and final chance. He then starts to talk to Chyna's boobs. Shawn Michaels claims that 1998 will be the year of DX, and then Commissioner Slaughter comes out. DX calling him Butterball, and Slaughter says it's fine that Triple H can't fight, but Shawn Michaels will defend his WWF title against Owen Hart in the main event tonight. So what are your thoughts on DX? Did you like them at the time? We know that Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker are going to fight at the Rumble in a casket match, and we do know eventually Triple H and Owen Hart will fight. But right now, Triple H has been docking Owen Hart, decking that's not even a word, decking Owen Hart. What do you think about this whole situation and segment?
It was a very interesting segment. Anytime you had DX and Sergeant Slaughter, and I mean, you can go back, when they had those masks on, getting up in Sergeant Slaughter's face. I mean, anytime you had a promo like that, man, it was definitely money. I mean, they knew how to throw promos out for sure, and they always disrespected the Sarge. I mean, I liked the Sarge in the ring, but whenever it became down to him becoming the manager of Raw, DX gave him a whole bunch of crap that, it kind of reminds you of them getting ready for the Vince McMahon Austin's, series. But I mean, not as good as Austin, but they gave Sergeant Slaughter up the road for sure.
Yeah, he was so annoying. He'd come out and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm just sorry to." I used to love when Triple H would fuck with him, especially when he fucking spit and they'd wear that little thing with the the shield where it would get they'd use the fucking, what are they called on the car? I'm so dumb right now. The windshield wipers. There's little wipers.
Windshield wipers, yeah, that was my favorite for sure.
Very funny. All right, well, next we see a bunch of wrestlers backstage. They're talking about attacking Kane because Kane has just been destroying everybody in his path. Up next, we have the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, taking on Kama Mustafa with a Nation of Domination with him. D'Lo trips Ken Shamrock as Kama drops an elbow. Kama punches Ken Shamrock in the corner, and Ken Shamrock takes control and nails a dropkick. Farouk stands on the apron. Kama accidentally kicks D'Lo, and Shamrock locks in the ankle lock, and Kama taps out. After that, The Rock comes out, and The Rock tells Ken Shamrock, "Your luck is going to run out next week against Farouk." And Farouk looks upset after finding out he will have to take on Ken Shamrock next week. So, what are your thoughts against this Rock versus Ken Shamrock rivalry, and Ken Shamrock taking out Kama?
I think Ken Shamrock was the most dangerous man. Like you said, he was very successful in the ring. And also, I think this also leads to the buildup of the Rock versus Farouk feud that would lead up to the fights that they would have to see who was leader of the Nation of Domination. And that rivalry was really interesting as well.
Yeah, I think it was there was like a lot of different storylines being set up and going on at the time. Like you said, Rock and Ken Shamrock, Farouk being like, yo, I'm the leader. Why are you stepping up and making decisions, Rock? Like, I'm the one in charge. So you can smell the dissension in the room. Yes, sir. All right. Next, Vince McMahon wishes us all a happy new year, which it was, cool to see how young he looked back then over 30 years ago. And now he's all old. We then have our next match, two sexy Brian Christopher and Jerry the King Lawler taking on the WWF Light Heavyweight Champion Taka Michinoku and George the Animal Steele, where it was a surprise to see the Animal come out because he's a Hall of Famer and legendary wrestler. My dad used to be afraid of him when he was little, so there you go. King nails Taka with brass knuckles. And then George Animal Steele hits Brian Christopher with something. The referee eventually calls off the match, making it a no contest. And then after the match, the Animal chases the referee out of the ring with a box. So this match was kind of just like crazy. What was your thoughts on the match? And did you appreciate George Animal Steele at the time?
Well, I can definitely appreciate George Animal Steele, but I don't know if a turnbuckle pad could. And you appreciate both tag teams, with the loss of Brian Christopher a couple years ago, and then, seeing Jerry Lawler. Actually, I got to see Jerry Lawler wrestle in Beckley, West Virginia last year. He fought one of the local talents here, and to see him wrestle in this match, Jerry's improved his wrestling skills for sure, and he was. Of course, he's legendary for his pound driver and stuff, which actually he won that match in West Virginia last year with the pound driver. And it's always good to see the King, let's be a tag match or a kiss my foot match with Bret Hart, or some of the classic matches that he's had. And but that's what I gotta say about that match.
All right. Yeah, it was good to see Jerry Lawler. I agree. Actually getting involved. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are officially going to be entering the War Zone. We have the New Age Outlaws taking on Mankind, and we see a special guest appearance in that match. Sable comes down to the ring. We see the superstars, the wrestlers, attempt to confront Kane. And we have our main event, WWF Champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, defending against the Black Heart, Owen Hart. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. The Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast family would like you to check out Anchor.
With Anchor, you can record, edit, and publish your own podcast for free.
Distributing your podcasts has never been this easy with Anchor, which allows you to send out your podcast to platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and much, much more.
Get uncensored and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome back. Yes, definitely check out anchor.fm. It is the greatest place to create and distribute your podcast for free. That is the tool that the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast uses to distribute our podcast. And we'd like to thank you wherever you are listening to us. We, the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast, are available on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever podcasts are available. Just type in the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast and give us a 5-star rating. You can also check us out on YouTube. Just search the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay notified when new content is created. And Mike, we are now entering the War Zone on Monday Night Raw. And the WWF Tag Team Champions, The New Age Outlaws come out as they get ready to take on Mankind. They show a replay of them attacking Mick Foley the past couple of weeks, and they laugh. Do Love appears on the Titantron, and Do Love says, "You broke the dude's heart. The dude may have mercy this time, but this other cat may not." And then we see Mankind on the Titantron. And then eventually Cactus Jack comes on and says, "Chainsaw Charlie is here." Cactus Jack comes down with a barbed wire bat, and Cactus Jack takes control of the Road Dog. Jack clotheslines Road Dog over top rope. Road Dog hits Cactus with a chair shot to the head. Referee calls for the DQ, and Cactus Jack beats Road Dog by disqualification. After the match, Cactus Jack runs up the ramp, and eventually it was like a chainsaw started to like come through the wooden box that was on the stage, and Chainsaw Charlie breaks through the crate, and the New Age Outlaws run it backstage. So what was your reaction to Chainsaw Charlie when you first saw him live, and what did you think of the match and this rivalry?
The rivalry was great. I mean, you had your rivalry with these two, and then you get Chainsaw Charlie involved, which, of course, is Terry Funk, and Terry Funk and Mankind together. That's quite an interesting pair. I mean, they could have went, and they did go somewhere special with this, but I mean, it's to see them two together in the WWE, you would have thought that would have happened. And but it did happen, and it was a great choice by McMahon to pick this. And to see him coming out of that box, and to see it was Terry Funk, aka Chainsaw Charlie. I mean, that was probably one of the best gimmicks Terry Funk had. And but that's what I mean. And the match itself was really good. I give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, it was one of the best, but I mean, I would say it was probably at least mediocre as far as that night. I mean, considering what matches you had. So I mean, but like I said, the rivalry was great between those two tag teams for sure during that time period.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see the hardcore stuff all the time. I loved all that shit. And Chainsaw Charlie was very cool. It's kind of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre type gimmick. Cool to see. All right, next Sable comes down to the ring, and Sable is about to undress until Marvelous Marc Mero comes down. Mero says that I'm the star, and Sable wouldn't have been in a magazine without Marc Mero. He low blows Kevin Kelly, but then Tom Brady makes the save. But then Marc Mero nails Tom Brady with a steel chair and lands a TKO on top of the chair. He puts the pictures of Sable from the Raw magazine inside Tom's mouth, and Mero says, "I'm the star." So, did you hate Marc Mero back then as much as everyone else did too?
Well, I mean, I like Marc Mero because I followed him in WCW as well, and was when he was Johnny Bad. I liked his skill set, but I don't think he got the. I mean, I think he could have been a lot more talent. I think, which that goes back to what WWE's done with talent. They the guys that they should give talent more options to or more matches to. They don't get that. Yeah. And but I mean, I think Marc Mero could have been in a lot more better matches, and I've actually got to set up a interview with Marc. I didn't get to participate in it, but he's a great guy. I mean, yeah, he does. He's really changed his life and stuff now, and I mean, he's a great ambassador for wrestling now, and back in the day, whenever he was having trouble and stuff, it's it was but I mean, I did not like him whenever they turned him bad in around this time.
Yeah, Marc Mero, I did see one of his speeches that he gave a couple of years back, and he's a really good motivational speaker. And yeah, they did kind of do him dirty when he came to WWE after when they turned him heel, and it made him this whole entire like I'm a boxer type gimmick. Did you like Sable at the time?
Uh, uh, I mean, I had my mixed feelings toward that person, and but I mean, you know, I never was really fond of the wrestling skills that this person had, and
You say this person.
so
I love it.
yes, this person, yes, sir. Yep. But I mean, as far as my, she was. This person was definitely attention for herself type person, and but as far as the wrestling skills go, then I mean, I wasn't really impressed at all.
Sable was hot. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, all right, before Brock Lesnar comes and beats my ass. So 7 wrestlers come down to the ring, and Chains calls Kane down, saying they are going to put his fire out. Kane walks down to the ring with Paul Bearer, and the Undertaker eventually comes out, and Kane and Undertaker face off. But the Undertaker and Kane actually attack the other wrestlers in the ring. And then Undertaker leaves the ring. He looks at the camera and says, "I will burn in hell before I fight you." So obviously everyone loves the storyline. When you were watching this live, were you shocked that the Undertaker teamed up with Kane, or were you sort of expecting that to happen?
I was kind of expecting it to happen. I mean, because you get the brother story. They started off as enemies, but eventually it was going to happen. I mean, because what better way to form a little tag team than two brothers who know each other, and both of them went on to both better have better. I mean, both of them went on to have better careers, and I think it was a great thing for them to. I mean, if they wouldn't have done it, then there was something wrong, because to have Undertaker and Kane out would be. I think they won actually the tag team championships once or twice. Did they not?
Yeah, I think they held it in 2001. I think again, I don't remember, but yeah, I do remember they were very successful as a team, obviously. They were great. Okay. So then we see the New Age Outlaws. They're yelling at Michael Cole backstage. They're mad and they run away from Chainsaw Charlie, who runs at them, who carves out a door. We then get Jim Cornette backstage, and Jim Cornette is screaming that he gives a state of wrestling in 1998, and he says that it stinks. He trashes WCW, NWO, ECW, and the WWF. Jim Cornette says no one has no respect for wrestling. He trashes Connecticut. The people running promotions suck. He doesn't want sports entertainment. Down south, they respect wrestling. Maybe Jim Cornette might bring real wrestling to the WWF. What are your thoughts on Jim Cornette?
Oh man, this goes back to my Smoky Mountain days, man. I grew up around Jim Cornette pretty much, and there were sometimes he was funny, and there was things he didn't really need to say. And of course, as far as being a manager goes, of course, his motto, his way of, being a manager was, hitting someone with that tennis racket of his. And, I remember him, back in WCW days, back in early WCW days with the Midnight Express, I could go on forever about Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette, he's got his own podcast and everything. But he's,
so you're not a fan of Jim Cornette?
He's. There's some things he's right about. There's some things he's not right about.
No, I like Jim Cornette. There's nothing wrong with him. He has his moments. I really like when he's on Dark Side of the Ring because he just goes all in. It was, to be honest, this was a really good promo, and to know the history and know eventually that when NWA does come into WWE, it really didn't do anything. So it is kind of sad to see him give this really well together promo and then have it really end up to being nothing. But props to you, Jim Cornette. We then go back and we see the PlayStation Slam of the week brought to you by Bushido Blade. It's the video of Stone Cold Steve Austin nailing a stunner on Santa Claus, which we all love and appreciate. Out next, Sunny comes out to the ring and she shows off the Raw magazine with her bikini on the cover. It's great. We then go to Jim Ross and he announces that Iron Mike Tyson will participate at WrestleMania 14. Were you into Mike Tyson? What were your thoughts on him at that time? Because for me, I knew who he was, but was he a big name celebrity for you at the time, or was he just another person they just had?
I think it was a smart selection for them to put Mike Tyson with the Austin Shawn Michaels match at WrestleMania. I think it was a smart move by WWE. I mean, Mike Tyson was pretty big at that time, in my opinion, and they definitely brought in a moneymaker when they brought him in for WrestleMania. That was definitely for sure.
Yeah. Well, up next, we have our main event, the WWE title on the line. The WWE Champion Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, with DX by his side, taking on Blackheart Owen Hart. Owen attacks Shawn Michaels on the ramp, nails a suplex. Owen then backdrops HBK to the outside. China then pulls Owen's leg, and Shawn Michaels sends Owen Hart off the apron into the guard railing outside. HBK lands a pile driver and gets a 2 count. Owen Hart nails a spinning heel kick and gets a 2. Owen lands an enziguri and a sharpshooter. And then Triple H ends up hitting Owen Hart with a crutch, and DX attack Owen with the crutch and just basically lay him out. Now, at the time, I didn't know that Owen Hart, I knew Owen Hart was a big deal, but I didn't know that he was having this sort of character of running in and attacking them at the time. I didn't think he was as, because his brother had just left, I thought they were more focused on Brett, but they really were focused on Owen a lot. What did you think of the match and the attack afterwards?
Of course, leave it to DX to attack someone after a match. So that's nothing out of the usual. Especially when they had both of them right there at ringside. But the match, I thought the match was a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really good match. Owen Hart, rest in peace. But I think he could have been. I mean, if he wouldn't have, what happened to him. I mean, I think he could have been something a lot bigger than WWE after his brother left. And I mean, he was already pure talent already. I mean, they already had someone special in him. I liked his feud with his brother. I mean, that was probably one of the best historical feuds. Especially I love the part whenever, a Survivor Series when Owen Hart turned on his brother, and they're carrying Brett back there, and you see Owen Hart on the promo video, talking about that how much he's ashamed of Brett. Brett's always in the spotlight, and he can never do. I mean, that was some of the classic stuff. But this match with Shawn Michaels, was pretty good. Like I said, I'd give it 4 out of 5 out of the matches that was on there on the card. And but that was my take.
Sick, nice. Yeah, I thought it was a great match. It was great to see Shawn Michaels. It was also cool to see DX sort of be unstoppable in that moment. But that wraps it up for this week's Raw Is War. It was a great prelude to what's to come in 1998. Next week, it is Raw Is War from January 5th, 1998, in my hometown of New Haven, Connecticut. My brother is actually seen in the audience, so Mike, you'll have to look out for that when we watch it.
Okay.
We'll be back with our recap soon, so be on the lookout for that. And any last words, Mike? Do you have anything you want to say?
Man, I just look forward to doing these podcasts with you, man. It's going to be great to be going back into the years 1997 to whenever the Attitude Era ended.
Yeah, we're gonna go a long way, brother. We're gonna have a good time doing it. And all right, everybody, we're gonna wrap it up. You guys have a good rest of your week. Stay safe, and we will see you in a couple of weeks with our next episode of the Attitude Era. Stay safe. Bye.